this individual one, that's like you're thinking, just that.
You can turn the light down, just have to jump up and down.
Yeah.
It's small, probably like fit perfectly in this
We have one at her basement. So did we when the kids went down there.
I need a road
Then
for
they returned
graduation.
down, just
You
on
need a
the-
road for
Yeah.
graduation?
We're gonna, I think we're gonna talk about that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get a chance to talk to you about that.
So, I have no idea what we're gonna say. What?
We
You don't wanna wear a robe?
No.
We're not doing robes for
We have never done roads.
You haven't?
No.
Okay, memories are strange things.
She shared your note with me, and I hadn't read it. I'll be honest.
So just the teachers?
We've never
Just
done
the
robes for
teachers
board
and
members.
if you guys, because you're the educators, we are not
Board
educators.
members just dress in their
I'm sorry.
suit.
That's okay.
In my mind, you always.
No,
Come here,
sorry.
come here, come here.
What?
The one time somebody did, there was a big backlash.
Oh, really?
Yes, as being ostentatious.
Yeah,
Okay,
we've never done robes for board members.
All right, noted.
Okay,
Thanks.
yeah. So never mind.
I didn't get a chance to get over it.
That's okay, that's okay, that's all right. That's okay. Yeah, it was not.
It's been a day.
Oh, it looks so.
It's been a day.
Yeah, I know.
Karen called me, he would love it so much, trying to get stuff in.
I was expecting with how my sweater's been having come stumbling, dusty and dirty.
I know. All right, it's 6:30, so let's call this meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Union City Community Schools Board meeting. Our meeting agenda is available for you to follow. The expectation for our board meeting is to follow this agenda closely. We operate under the Open Meetings Act and utilize Robert's Rules of Order to govern our discussion and decision-making process. There is an opportunity for public comment during our set agenda. We welcome the public to express their opinions during this time of our agenda. If there are questions about the agenda or the board meeting process, please seek out one of the board members for clarification. Do we have any addition or deletion of items to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as provided.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Can I make some?
Sure,
I
absolutely.
just want to say, even though it's in that long list there, how much I've appreciated working with Jennifer, and we'll very much miss having her here, and very proud that she's gone up and she's going to whip the ISD into shape and teach them a few things up there about what we know here, what she brought to us, and very excited for her and her future there. So.
Thank you very much.
Yep. And also to our other folks there, may they have good luck at where they're headed to next.
Absolutely.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. We'll move on to correspondence. Do we have any correspondence for this evening? Okay. We now come to our first public comments section of our agenda. This is the section of the meeting in which the public may make comments or share their opinions about items on the agenda. We ask you to limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes per person to allow others the opportunity to speak. This is an opportunity for the board to listen to your concerns. It is not board practice to act on the concerns voiced during this meeting to allow for the board to do further research. Do we have any comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to our presentation. We have Tanya Sherwood, elementary teacher, who will be presenting information on having a therapy dog at the elementary. So welcome, Tanya.
Thank you. I was just trying to find
say media center? There. That may be because it's not turned on. But since I have it on my display, I'll get it turned on. And now you should be able to connect to it. Does it show up now?
I mean, I have some of the high school rooms on here, but I don't have any that say media center.
Let me see it. I can take a look. If we have to, I can play it on my.
What's that?
Patrick, do you have yours?
Yep.
I was thinking, well, I can't use mine because I'm streaming.
Up to you, Patrick.
I got it here. I can run it for you. There's no point in reflecting too.
Okay, well. Yeah, move around over there a second.
So just to start off with, I just want to first thank Jennifer because she's kind of been on this journey with me with trying to get a therapy dog in our school, and it's been kind of a long road. But I have a friend who has heard me talk about my students and talk about just how great it would be if we had a dog, and then she said to me one night when I was over there, I want to help you get this going, and I want to sponsor a dog for you. So that was kind of what really, I'm like, sponsor? My ears perked up like these great dogs back here. So I just put together this presentation to go over some of the benefits of therapy dogs. As you know, they're used to provide emotional support at schools. To quote a principal who's had a dog in her school, she said the purpose of getting a therapy dog was student-based, with the benefits like building self-esteem, memory stimulation, reducing anxiety, etc. And afterwards they found out that one of the even bigger benefits was the joy that it brought to the staff as well as all of the students. So many, many perks to it besides just for the students. Some of the ways that dogs are used in schools might be for students who have trouble just coming to school. So it's an incentive. Maybe they could have a job to get the dog settled in the morning, or things of that nature. So an attendance incentive, student reading and reading interventions. Students love to read to dogs. Behavior incentives, de-escalation, creating just that calm classroom environment that pets can often do. Help students with grief and loss. And another thing that came to mind was after we just had the tornado, like how that could have helped some students just to, be a little bit more calm and be able to talk to the dog about that, because sometimes they don't want to talk to people. So also maybe helping with testing. We often have students who maybe don't want to talk to an adult, but they would be happy to talk to a pet, or such as a dog. They can just be a calming presence for both students and staff. I have talked to people in some schools who even take them into some parent meetings where things can get a little bit
Robust.
what was that?
Robust.
Sure. Just to kind of bring the tone of the room down in some of those parent meetings. I know that dogs have been used in that way too. And also, of course, the emergency and trauma situations that students encounter. This is just an example at a school in Lakeview. One of their dogs some additional benefits are even getting kids to interact with each other while they're bonding with the dog. A catalyst to conversations when maybe they wouldn't be likely to do that. They might bond together over their time with the dog. And then another benefit is being a part of a team of handlers should there be a tragic situation where maybe it would be nice to have, like a team to be able to come in if it was, hopefully that never happens, but it'd be awesome. And then just the reduced stress on teachers, which can in turn lessen the mental health issues and the insurance claims that we know that we want to decrease, right? And then often people question about what about the allergies, what about students with fears of dogs, and there are opt-out forms for students to have should them or their parents decide that they don't want them to be around the dog, so those would be given out to every family so that they could decide. And then I had talked to Scott about, he had mentioned about a student who was really afraid of dogs after an incident and how it almost became his therapy once he was able to work with a dog and then overcome those fears through the school dog. I included some research. I won't read through the whole thing, but there is research that shows how the cortisol levels can decrease just by having the dogs present for both general ed and special ed students alike. And the link to the study is found there at the bottom. So as I mentioned, I had someone who already has offered to sponsor $5,000 of the $8,100 for the dog. And then since then, I presented at the Rotary meeting, and pending board approval, there's a grant for $7,500 to go towards the therapy dog. So the total is $8,100 to get started, and then obviously there would be some ongoing costs, and I've included a link to the proposed budget. My plan is to continue on with having fundraisers and doing things to kind of keep that money coming in so that we don't have like a situation where this dog retires and then we haven't planned for it. So people have also asked about the other buildings, and I'm more than happy to keep fundraising, and if there's an interest for another handler at the other buildings, I'd love to see. I figure we'll just start with this, right, Mr. Katz? And we'll just kind of see how it goes, but I'm always kind of thinking about that.
I know you are.
And then some other options, Donors Choose is another way to gain support for getting food and supplies and things like that. And then, so I have pretty much the initial cost covered, and then just something to think about. What is the school board willing to help with as the ongoing costs come up each year? That's just a little question to throw out there for you. And then I had Mr. Katz had come to our staff meeting, and we were tasked with thinking of things that would attract more families to our school district or keep ones that are currently enrolled. And this data was actually, I've been working on this for a few months, so Scott back there might be able to tell me if any of my numbers are wrong, but Bronson has 2 dogs, Quincy has 3, Aunt Sophia has 2, the ISD has 1 at Waldron, and then Three Rivers has 8 dogs, Sturgis has 2, and I know Lakeview has them in each of their buildings, some perhaps more than 1. So I feel like this is a great way to also get the community involved in doing some fundraising and coming together to make this happen, and like I said, hopefully get dogs in the other schools if it works out. Then the training at Scott and Megan are here from Magnum Canine, and they do offer a yearly recertification to make sure that the trainer is continuing to keep up on all of the commands, and just make sure that the trainer and dog are working together the way they should be so that it's safe for the school environment. They also recommended that each person who's handling the dog come for the training, So I know Mrs. Johnson and I talked about that, and it wouldn't be just me, like, we have Mrs. McDonald, I think, is planning on helping out, and Mrs. Manier also, so that we could have people who are not necessarily just in the classroom, but that can be out and about in the school. And then also, something that I think is pretty cool too, at Magnum K9, if you have a student who enrolls after we already have everything rolling with the dog, but let's say a student comes with a wheelchair and the dog isn't familiar with that, they will come and retrain for whatever the situation is. And then I had included just a typical day. Some of these things Mr. Katz and I had talked about, and he was wanting some examples of ways that the dog would be used. And there are times for going outside and resting the dog so that the dog can be kind of kept fresh for the day. That was just kind of a typical day in the life. And these were, again, checklist items that Mr. Katz, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, some were for insurance purposes and some questions that he had. So those are kind of more specific questions. You're welcome to read through those. Again, some best practice items. And then in closing, I'd just like to say that sometimes I feel like therapy dogs are looked at as like, oh, this is just another fad that's going through schools, and I feel like that's kind of been proven wrong. And to quote the handler at Westlake Elementary in Lakeview, they said, now that we have a dog here, we'll never go back to not having one. So when we know better, we do better. And then also I wanted to introduce Scott Moreau, make sure I said it right, and Megan, and they have their two friends here.
Is there any direct questions that we can answer?
They came to, if you have any trainer specific questions.
Is it okay if I give a couple examples of some things?
Okay,
I don't know where we're at.
please.
So we had a school here recently where it was at our an ISD, kindergarten through 26-year-old, typically cognitively, wheelchair bound, They had a student in there that was 24 years old. He had been there brand new for the week. They were trying to get him to answer some questions on some pages. I'm not exactly sure what was on the questions, but they said that they'd been working for 5 days the week prior to get him to answer these questions on these 2 papers. We did a visit because they were going to be getting one of our dogs. They hadn't got a dog yet. They were just getting one of our dogs. So we did a visit kind of like we're doing here. And by the time we left, he had answered both sides of the pages that they've been already spending the last 5 days trying to get him to answer. And all we did was promise him to pet the dog when we came back through if the stuff was finished. So that's just one example. Another example, we have an elementary school where the principal quote says the student will clear out a classroom. He's so aggressive. And they got the dog. They've had 0 incidents with this student since, and they said he, very common, 15, 20 times a year would clear out a classroom where they had to evacuate the classroom. He was so violent. And since they've had the dog for the last 4 months, they've had not one incident. We've built up to it, and as soon as the dog walks in the room, it de-escalates immediately. I'll quote Brunson specifically. They said that, so they have a dog that's assigned to different schools, it kind of rotates around, and their attendance is up like 95% on the days the kids know the dog's coming. So there's so many different benefits. These dogs, it ain't just your average pet. You can see, I got one back there that's on a stay, he won't move. They go through a ton of training. So the money doesn't just pay for the dog, it pays for all the hundreds of hours of training that we put into a dog to make it sit through a school board meeting or a class and not move or make a sound or even know that it's there. So I don't know if there's any other direct questions or anything.
Where are you based out of?
Sturgis.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And do you like get dogs that have been donated in, or do you contact breeders? Do you breed
So
yourself?
we get our dogs from all over the world, literally all over the world. We've had dogs that we've gotten from Czechoslovakia, Mexico, Alabama, Georgia. Like we literally get our dogs from all over the world. And we have a criteria that we pre-select dogs. So there's a network out there, you know, if you raise and breed cattle, you know how to find cattle. Same thing goes with dogs, we know how to find them. So we have a criteria, and if those dogs or breeders meet the criteria, then we go test them. We've been at facilities, like last fall we drove to Georgia, Alabama, whatever, we drive all over the place. We tested 30 some dogs in 2 days to bring back 4.
And
So-
we passed too.
And we ended up passing 2. And
Correct me if I'm wrong, they go through something or always a prison program, or is it not?
most of the time, they go through some other. So these dogs, typically from puppyhood, are bred, raised, whelped, trained from the time they're born until the time we get them. Dogs are normally 2 years old when we put them in the hands of a school. We do schools, fire departments, dispatch centers, counseling centers. So it ain't just schools, but they go through a tremendous amount of training, evaluating, testing, and we don't pass them all.
Is it only Goldens, or do you do
No,
other breeds
we do.
as well?
We do labs, Goldens, and poodles. Poodles are actually our favorite, honestly. We don't typically. We do sometimes do like doodle mixes, but not very often. We brought a golden retriever tracker with us and a black
Oh, I
lab
didn't
Rennie
see.
with us today.
Didn't see that guy back there.
So do you have to have specific handlers, like, throughout the day for the dog?
So typically we'll train a primary handler, and then we can do 1 or 2 secondary handlers. Bronson does something unique where they have a handler at every school. I don't recommend that. It's just, you start getting too many people involved, stuff starts to slip. They have 2 dogs. They have 1 dog capable of handling that situation, and that dog's a complete unicorn. So like, sometimes when people say, well, Brunson did it, I'm like, no, you can't do that. That dog is a complete unicorn. She's able to do it, but I wouldn't recommend it for the average dog.
We do recommend there being 2 handlers.
Yeah, always 2 handlers.
Yeah.
But
That
we,
way, if somebody's sick or something happens, they're not there, the dog still would come to school and be handled
Yeah.
by someone that understands how to handle the dog and all of the training.
and another thing that we do is we put all of our handlers into like a coalition kind of. I don't know if that's the right word for it. Now, give it an example, unfortunate example. Fenville Schools 2 years ago had a murder-suicide that was 2 middle school kids and an elementary school kid. When things like that happen, it's unfortunate. But if something like that was to happen, we do a mass thing where all of our schools and our school therapy dogs will come here or come wherever. We had it on standby in Quincy when they had a teacher this year pass away, unfortunately, and a student in Sturgis too. It's unfortunate, but that's the world we live in. So what made me start doing this was when that happened in Fenville, there was a dog trainer who charged the school $850 a day to bring in therapy dogs. And when I got wind of that, it kind of like boiled my blood a little bit, because we have, every school could give up their counselor for the day and their dog for the day or for 2 days to go deal with a tragic event. So the fact that a dog trainer, not even from our area, it was like from Detroit area, so he had to drive all the way across the state to do it, charged $850 a day, and he was there for 10 or 15 days. I just, in my mind, I was like, that really infuriates me to be able to help kids that were doing that, you know what I mean? So what I did with my handlers is I kind of just made them an unwritten agreement that if something unfortunate happens, that we're there for each other, especially within county, you know what I mean? So, and we'll bring dogs too. I'm not a trained therapist, but I can bring therapy dogs. But for a dog trainer to do that, I'm not a trained therapist. So for me to do that, why? When we can have people that are trained to do do it with dogs that are trained to do it. And we can have 10 dogs here. So that's something else that you get with it. And if you can't, if somebody can't make it that day, they can't make it that day. It's not world ending, but we want to be able to hope that everybody will be able to be there for us when something unfortunate happens. Right, Tracker?
If you have a bad situation at the school, how does the dog react?
So they react amazingly pretty good. These dogs are extremely tested. We orchestrate and rehearse things at our level. Trust us, our kids love when we say, okay, it's time to throw a fit. They're like, what? I get to throw a fit? so on our end, we do rehearse it with the dogs prior to them even coming to you guys. And if there's ever a problem, just for example, we did have a school where a student had to be restrained, and the dog was like, what the heck? And the dog barked a little bit because he's like, I've never seen a kid act like that. I've never seen somebody have to, two people have to restrain them, whatever, something
It
like
was
that.
a standing restraint. The dog was used frequently to help when they were sitting down with him and to de-escalate that way, but he had not seen the standing with the legs, so we just went in and retrained for that.
And now we train, it was something that came up where the dog reacted what I would consider poorly. He barked. She barked. Wasn't aggressive or anything. It was more like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So now we just put it right into our training program. We don't recommend the dogs be used in that situation, but that isn't to say that they can't come in contact with it. Yeah. We try to think of every possible thing that could happen, but it doesn't ever happen. Like she said, if you guys get a kiddo that comes in that needs something specific, we're more than happy to help come in and facilitate that. You can't think of every single scenario, everything. So we do our best.
Will the dog be living with you, Mrs. Sherman?
Any other questions for us?
My husband and I are puppy raisers for Leader Dogs for the Blind.
Okay.
We've raised 8, and we're turning in number 8 on Saturday.
Yeah.
And number 7 wound up not working. She worked for a little bit and then stopped working. She's now a court assistance dog in Ingham County.
We do get dogs from Leader. We get dogs from Paws. So we
We have
get.
a police dog in England.
Yeah, we do. We do have police dogs.
I know Jennifer and I have talked quite a bit about this whole scenario, and I'm really excited to see it coming to a fruition because we've
Yeah.
talked a lot about this,
Yep.
she and I.
And we're here, like, for our handlers, for our schools, we're here. We really try to go out of our way to make sure everything is exactly as. And sometimes people get hung up with the fact that how can a dog cost so much? And it isn't the cost of the dog that's that much. It's the support, it's the training. You know what I mean? It's everything else. The dog, if you break it down, the dog costs the same as it would cost. If you went out tomorrow and bought it. It's the training and the support and everything else that goes with it.
Right.
Look at this car. So, you guys have any other questions or comments or concerns? We appreciate you guys having us. We won't be able to stay for the whole meeting, but if you guys need anything, whatever, reach out to us. We can help.
Great.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, great. I think we all need a petting session right now from the school board sections. All right, thank you very much to those of you from Magnum Canine and your babies. And thank you, Tanya, for your work putting towards it. And thank you, Jennifer, for helping to steer that. Appreciate that. So thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we are going to move on to action items. The first up is our financials. Board action is required to approve the financials for the month ending April 30th, 2024. I will entertain a motion for the same. discussion?
I just had one question about the transportation. It was really getting close to the end, so the hike, the transportation cost. Is that bus still? Is that why it's not? It's
There
higher than the
is-
budget trajectory this time.
Yes, there is bus. There's also been a few extra costs, but we will get reimbursed for some of those.
Okay.
So, but largely it's the bus purchases.
That's it.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. We'll move on to retirement. Mike Iyer, middle school teacher, is retiring effective June 7th, 2024. He's been with our school for 27 years. I will entertain a motion to accept his retirement.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Long time. Appreciate it. What's that?
I taught Mike in my 7th year here.
You've been here a long time too. FYI.
We will thank Mike for all of his
Yes.
hard work that he's done here with us. The other
And-
things he's done as
And
well.
another track championship this year.
Yes,
So,
yes, should be very proud of that. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same, and that motion carries. We'll move on next to therapy dog. Board action is required to approve having a therapy dog at the elementary, and so I would entertain a motion for the same. So moved. Is there a
Support.
I gotta get used to writing your name down. It's like, oh, yeah. All right, discussion.
I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
I'm really excited. I think everyone else will be too, so.
Getting one done.
At this time, yes. And she, when you were here, she was saying how they would like to consider doing it at each building, but we're waiting to see what happens with this one particular one.
And the major costs aren't covered.
Correct.
Like,
She's fine.
We're gonna start
Right.
slow. Start slow.
Everybody wants dogs right now, I can tell. We all love dogs.
I do want to give credit to Nikki too. She approached me last fall about this,
Okay,
and I said back to her, "Give me some research." And boy, she did. She sent me some research. And then before I got back to her this year, this spring, then Tanya hit me up, and I gave her some things to do too. And she jumped right on it. She was
fantastic. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Welcome, therapy dog. I'm excited about that. All right, we'll move on to sex ed curriculum. Board action is required to approve the new sex ed curriculum as presented. I would entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
As I've said 100 times, I don't like the fact that we have to teach sex ed in school, but I understand the need for it. I do want to say that I appreciated Patrick's letter. That was well written. I also appreciated that in looking at some of the curriculum, it did talk about absence. I know sometimes that seems easy to ignore, so I thought that was important as well. That was in there. So I assume we got a unanimous approval of it on the sex ed board, or they were all. I know it said it approved it, but I just want to make sure that there weren't any major issues during that discussion.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next, we move on to Union City Booster donation. Board action is required to approve a donation from the Union City Boosters Club for the amount not to exceed $26,750 for the purpose of refurbishing the press box. I will entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Awesome. Thank you to everyone. And who's in charge of the purse for that? I just want to make sure that someone's responsible for.
She's been
deciding
coordinating the
whether-
work with the Booster Club and putting it together. And when we last met with them, we thought they wanted a little more control over what got done, but in the end, they basically said, "No, we're just going to give you the money, and and do what needs to be done, so.
So then will we need to approve when bills come to us, or once we've
No.
approved this, it falls under your jurisdiction,
Yeah, you just
right?
needed to accept because our bylaws say, our policies say you have to accept donations.
Right.
So you just need to accept the total donation. When the individual bills come in for things, we'll pay the bills
That's
and
what I
then
thought.
we'll
I just wanted to verify.
submit everything to them for reimbursement.
Perfect.
They're donating up to that much money.
Perfect.
So that's gonna show in our general fund as signed, basically? How does that work? I just wanna make sure we don't spend the money that isn't ours.
Giving you the money that we're reimbursing.
What's that?
It's a reimbursement, so
So
we'll pay.
you will see expenses and then revenue coming in as a gift, ultimately to reimburse the expenses.
Right, but where's that money sitting then while we're waiting?
My booster club account.
The Booster
Yeah.
Club has it.
Oh, okay.
We haven't gotten any money from that at
Okay,
all.
that's all.
We'll get the money after we do things.
I just wanna make sure we're taking it all and then, oops, where'd it go?
No, they want, any that we don't use, they
I'm
want
not saying that would happen, I'm just saying.
Every day.
You know,
For example, we saved money for the track and we decided not to do that, and that money got.
any money that we do, they didn't wanna just give the full amount.
I got it.
But any money we don't use, then they're gonna keep. So we thought the best way to do it is just to give them the receipts when we have it, and then they'll reimburse.
Perfect.
Are we gonna put that work out for bids, or is that gonna be?
There's a spreadsheet.
Is there one?
I'm sorry,
A
Sarah.
lot of it is,
That came out wrong.
what we're trying to do is, as much as,
I have four.
Archie, what we're trying to do as much as we can is we're buying materials, and we're either gonna use, maybe either of our maintenance guys are healthy ever again. But we may have to contract some labor, yes. And whether we do bids, it will depend on the size of the job and how many people we call to get quotes on and that kind of thing. But Amber's husband has offered to do the siding on the building, so which is a very generous contribution and should be noted as well. So
And the reason I asked is this gonna be something where the community can jump in, volunteer?
absolutely. Yep, we are going to be looking for anyone and everyone who has skill at doing these types of things.
That's a very good explanation.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same, and that motion carries. We'll move on now to the Calhoun Intermediate School District CISD 2024-25 preliminary budget resolution. Those budget packets are available to us right here. And then we also had received some communication from Chris earlier in the day regarding this. Would you like to speak to this before we
I would
have
like to
it?
talk about this
Yes.
first of all. I would like to apologize for getting it to you so late. They sent me this earlier this year, back in February actually, but in a folder. And then they said they were gonna follow it up with an email with the same material electronic form. I put the folder on my counter, and as Kelly and I looked today, the email never came. So it never dawned on me, and then for some reason today, I just had this feeling like I was missing something. And I thought we were supposed to have this approved by 1st of June, approved or disapproved. I have been communicating with Mr. Longer at the ISD about this because when we had a meeting to go over their budget, the superintendents, we were all there. There was a lot of concern among superintendents, and I was one of the most concerned, I would say, about the amount of money that they have, that they are sitting on and not spending when we have needs and that are not getting met. And we are fighting tooth and nail to get services for kids, to get Doris Clausen to provide services for students, to get additional staff here. They just finally this year, for the first time since 2016, allowed us to hire special ed classroom aides. since 2016, they had not been paying for any special ed classroom aides, only special ed one-on-one aides. And so this year, he contacted me this fall and said, we'll let you hire 2 classroom aides. Well, their special ed fund balance right now is at 53%. So they have 53% of what they spend every year just sitting in a fund balance. And even though that's in this budget, they're adding nearly $800,000 to that fund balance, even with this budget. Their overall fund balance for all of their departments are at 44% fund balance for the Calhoun ISD. Their Department of Technology actually has a 104% fund balance. They have enough money in their account to pay all their expenses for a year without any revenue, and yet they continue to put the full amount of revenue into that department. And except for, they decided to cut student services fees or some software fees to schools that are in their consortium. About half the schools in our county are not in their consortium. So they're using taxpayer dollars and their fund balance to reduce fees on schools that are in their consortium, while those of us that are not in the consortium get nothing out of that. I have expressed my dissatisfaction greatly. I know other superintendents have as well. I told him in my email, I said when it was, I told him back in, I think it was the end of March, that I would not recommend approval of this budget without some adjustments. And he said I would be hearing more from him soon. And I have yet to hear anything additional from him. And that was at least 2 months ago, or around 2 months ago. So my recommendation is to not approve the budget. Will it make a difference? No. Because basically they have to submit it to every local district for a vote, but their board can do as they please. Their board can vote to approve or disapprove. The hope is that, my hope is if enough districts disapprove of it, their board will at least start to take a look at why they are running and putting so much money away, adding to their fund balance every year instead of spending it on the needs that local districts have. Did I say too much?
No, you did just fine. Just fine. As an addendum to what Chris had to say, I did attend a meeting at the ISD earlier this year where they talked about their budget, and they were really excited about all the additional support services that they were going to be giving. And to see that they are not spending that money is disappointing after they were talking about the great things that they were going to be doing. So I'm kind of on that same boat. So Kelly, do we need, this is a resolution, and I see that one of the pages that we have is the resolution. Does it need to be given in the verbiage of this resolution in order for us to do it? Or can I just do it as a resolution and then we,
Did you say
like
as
regular,
presented?
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You-
Well, this is to adopt. This
Or this-
resolution says to adopt.
But the
It
motion
does.
is either to approve or disapprove.
Well, no. It says at blank school district, Board of Education held on this date, following resolution offered by, supported by, to adopt the following resolution. So we have to say nays if we do not want to approve it. Am I correct in that?
Supports or disapproves. It's that the Board of Education supports or disapproves with suggested changes. So you can say that we disapprove. You choose one or the other in your motion, I believe.
If that does say that, yeah, that would be correct.
So that we have to say nays.
You're adopting the resolution to disapprove the budget.
You're-
Adopt it.
You
You're
adopt
adopting
it,
But
and
you-
whoever
with
makes the
the
motion will
with
say,
say
will
the
choose either
disapproval
supports or
support.
disapproves.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that we had all of our
Yes.
T's crossed and I's
Yep.
dotted.
I would say that would be correct.
Okay, all right. So I would entertain a motion for a resolution regarding the budget. Does that make sense?
So someone would either make a motion to
Someone
either
needs to make a
adopt
motion to adopt
the budget
it
or disapprove the budget.
disapprove.
And we want to approve, disapprove it.
Yes, then you will vote. If,
Correct.
if you disapprove of the budget, you'll adopt that resolution that disapproves it.
If you say disapprove, we will say yes.
I would like to make a motion to disapprove the proposed ISD budget for the 24-25 school year.
I support that.
Okay,
Okay.
any discussion?
Who supported it?
Jen got
Jen
it?
Motion.
supported,
Support.
motion of support.
Got it.
It's been said many different ways this year in track, many
Okay,
different
so
ways.
the discussion is, I said
Discussion.
disapproves, we want to approve this if we don't want it to go through.
Yes.
Correct. Any other discussion? Kelly, will you call the roll, please?
Labar,
Yes?
Arlt,
Yes.
Mears,
Yes.
Gauchi,
Yes.
Steele,
Yes.
Herman.
Yes. Thank you. We'll move on now to discussion items. And the first one up is superintendent evaluation training.
So with the change in the state law, there are changes to the evaluation process for superintendents. And all board members have to go through that training. And I'll have to go through the training before, I believe it's September 1st, by the legislature, designated the September 1st as the deadline. The ISD has scheduled 2 trainings. One is on June 25th from 5 to 8, and that's an in-person training at the ISD. And they have one on August 5th from 5 to 8, which is a Zoom training. They have not yet, at least I have not seen, the registration information. They told us that would be forthcoming, but they did give us the dates and times. The board can decide to utilize that training. I don't know what the cost will be to us for that, if there is a cost. They didn't mention that.
In the
They,
email I got said it would be an additional cost.
did they? Okay.
Yes.
Or if you would like, we can set up and hire our own training, try to have someone come here and train all of you together at once, if you want to do that. But my guess is that will be a more expensive option than participating in one of these 2. I just would like to know from the board, what your feedback is, how you'd like to do it.
I just took the old training a couple weeks ago via Zoom, and it was very convenient and very comprehensive. Personally, it's a perfect time doing a Zoom meeting or in person, but if I had a choice, I would do the Zoom. They
If-
cover your own home and super easy.
If you're available, and some of you, I don't know if you see those 2 dates, you might not be available for one, but you could do the other, but the one is in person, so.
June 25th is a Tuesday and August 5th is a Monday, just so
Right.
what day of the week it is. Is there a cost for the ones through the ISD or is there no cost through the ISD? Do you know?
I do not know.
I don't
I was voluntold.
I know yours there might have been
Yes,
because
there
it was
was.
individual.
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
probably.
because we're required to take it, I don't know if they're covering that cost.
I don't know what they're
I
gonna.
was just curious.
They did not indicate a charge to me yet, whether we will be charged or not. I know that if we either, like if someone couldn't make either of these dates, if you all decided you were gonna try to make one of these dates, and someone didn't make either, we would probably have to go on and find a training available through Zoom and pay for it like we did
Pretty sure the first
for Jeremy's training.
I'll be in the
Okay.
What do you guys think? Do you think you might be able to make one of those, whether it's the in-person or the Zoom, on those specific days?
I think I could do the August one. I could do the Zoom for sure.
Chat, your preference to try these, and then anybody that for whatever reason can't, then we'll try to see what we can set up individually for that person.
I don't think it's any better if they come here and we pay for it, so I will save some money.
I would agree.
Get the same level of training.
I would agree.
Okay, so it looks
Okay.
like we'll try to make one or the other of them, and I'll just have to let Paula know that we're just to make one of those two if possible.
The Zoom I attended, there was, I think they must have broken it up in small groups, because I think there's only maybe 10 or 15 people on that call. So it's not, 150 people in there trying to ask questions, so. It was,
There will be a
pretty
lot
well
of
set up.
training going on this summer every board in the state. So
Yeah, it was-
I would imagine the Zoom might have more of that situation,
It very
because
well
most
could be.
people have had the training that you attended.
Right.
Now we're all getting it.
Exactly, yeah, true story.
Why would he attend the training?
Because we still have to use the old tool for
This
this
year.
year.
For
Yes.
my evaluation next
This
month.
might be the third different tool we've used since I've been on the board. The third time we train out.
And
This
And every single one of them
Depending on
is
who in the-
very self-explanatory.
depending on who wins the election this fall, there might be a fourth one next year. You don't know.
How many people are retained,
No.
developing training tools?
Now multiply that by all the things they change on us in the schools every year.
Sorry.
I was surprised it took 3 hours to go over a spreadsheet that you create on your own and figure out what to fill out. Right?
Yeah,
Whatever.
That's when I sit and take my knitting just in case.
The form-
So I
the
can
form
use
is
it,
exactly.
Keep myself busy.
Exactly. I know, trust me.
Slows you down.
Shake your head at a lot of things, so I shouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised.
All right. Any other questions or comments regarding the training? Alrighty then. We will move on now to information items. Smiles on Wheels. Who would like to talk about that?
Well, I'm going to point to Jennifer again because this is just a report. She started this out bringing them to our district, and a lot of our kids are getting some dental work that they wouldn't otherwise get, which is great. And they actually were at the middle school this year as well, for one visit. And we're going to do everything we can to continue that next year in both those buildings. So.
I know I've probably asked this question before, or someone else has asked this question. Is this something that kids sign up for? So that they say, yeah, I'm interested in this, or their parent says, yeah, we're interested.
So
and
they return a slip, and then they go to the classroom and take the student and do the service. And they have found like some really like red flags on students that have had to follow up. That's been very fortunate that they found things. So it's been a really great
If the parents have a
service.
way to make payment, if they have through their insurance or any program, it does. But
Yeah.
if they don't, they do the work anyways.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Great.
and they're
Thank you.
really great to work with. So.
Great. Thank you. All right. The next item is superintendent evaluation.
Yeah, just there's a copy of the tool in your information you have to prepare for. We'll have a closed session next month to do that evaluation.
Great. And next, 2024 graduation information, which we had a note about in our packet. I had also texted you guys as well. So
Yes. So you have the information on when it takes place and everything, but yes, you do not wear robes. The board members don't.
Just a question. Who do we tell who wants to give diplomas to? You?
yeah, just let me know. And when they start, when they call their name, just step up and come to me in case I don't remember, and I'll just step aside and you can hand it out. So yeah, any that you want to give of kids that you know, or that sort of thing. It's one of the few perks that we have of being on the school board. So I encourage any of you to be able to do that. All right, next, elementary. Oh, and I wanted to say too, if you can make it to the Charger Academy graduation, it is, in my opinion, the best graduation service I've been in.
It's really cool.
Like it's up there. So highly, highly, highly recommend making it to that. All right, next, elementary principal hiring process.
Yes, so I just wanted to update you on what our plan is for going through the process. I met with elementary teachers who could be there last Thursday after school. I had a pretty good group, around 10 teachers that came and talked, and we discussed what they are looking for in terms of a principal, what they feel like is important in their building, important with the different programs that we have in place already, things that we have undertaken. Patrick was there as well, and we took a lot of notes. Patrick took most of them. I wrote a few things down, but I was mostly talking, so we've got a good list of what they're looking for in a principal. It was very illuminating, and we also discussed how to go through the process, and we are going to have one teacher from each grade level team, as well as some other staff members from the building that we think are critical. It will be part of an interview committee. The posting will go up tomorrow, and we're planning on waiting 2.5 weeks. So it'll be 2 weeks from not quite 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks from this Friday. Our hope is to then take that following week to do our interviews and select someone, and then that would be the Friday before the board meeting. So we would come to the board meeting on the 17th with that recommendation. If we don't have someone, or we're not there at that point, we'll delay it. We'll delay what we bring to the board. But that is what our hope would be, partly because it will give them some time, hopefully, to work with Jennifer before her last day, which is the 30th, and get a heads up. Although she's not going far away.
Nope.
I told her she's not.
Available.
All she's doing up there is sitting in meetings all day anyway, so she can.
So I'll be,
She'll be
anytime.
more than free to come down anytime.
I won't be busy.
It's not like they do much at the ISD. So.
No, apparently not. So I'll be free. So whatever you need, just
But no. So that's basically our plan in a nutshell. I wanted to make sure that I want to hear from the board if you have anything in particular that you are interested in, and comments about the process. If you want to, you can always email me or call me and share your thoughts as we go into hiring, so that I'm aware of that before we actually bring someone and recommend someone. So.
Great, thank you. All right, we will move on to our second public comment portion of the meeting. This is the second section of the meeting in which the public may make comments or share their opinions about Union City Community Schools. We ask you to limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes per person to allow others the opportunity to speak. This is an opportunity for the board to listen to your concerns. It is not board practice to act on the concerns voiced during this meeting to allow for the board to do further research. Do we have any public comments for this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to board roundtable. Does anyone have anything that they want to bring before the board at this time?
Just wanted to say that I'm sorry that I was late. I had a business thing for the family business that I had to take care of. And, I know you guys moved the meeting for me, so sorry about that. But I thought it was more important that I came and I skipped the whole thing. So, and I am sorry that I missed the resignations. I thought some of them were well written, and I'm sad to see some of you guys go. I spent some time in Miss Heidi's room. Thought she was great. Sorry to see her go. Ms. Johnson, thank you for what you've done. So anyway, I appreciate what you've done, and the fact that it wasn't just a see ya, it was a thank you, and we're not going too far away. So that's all.
Great, thank you. Anything else? All right, we will be moving into closed sessions. So if you do want to stay to watch us adjourn the meeting, you're more than welcome to do that. Otherwise, we basically will just be going into closed session. So I will entertain a motion to go into closed session at this time. Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Let's take about 5 minutes and then we'll go into our closed session.